Okay, let's see what you got, Oculus.
Welcome to Demasked. My name is Fresman, and today I'm joined by hair-raising narratives. How's it going today?
It's going great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. So, I've been hearing actually a lot about you from other narrators lately.
Yeah.
And it was recommended that I contact you.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's always awesome to hear.
Yeah. So, how long have you been on YouTube so far?
Not long. 90 days, just a couple of days ago. I actually joined YouTube back in 2020, maybe sometime around February or March. Originally, I had a whole different direction that I was going to go with my channel. And so, yeah, I was going to do some sort of interviews with people, not necessarily like this, but more with people who have had sort of supernatural or unnatural experiences. And so that was originally going to be the direction of my channel, but ultimately I decided to just kind of stick with what I'm doing now, and I've been doing it since about January of this year, so just about 3 months now.
There you go. Have you are you a believer in the paranormal?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I've never experienced anything myself, but I do know that a lot of people close to me have claimed to have had experiences in the paranormal. So that's always kind of tough when you yourself haven't experienced anything, but there's people you trust who say, yes, I believe in these things because I myself have had an experience. So, I would say probably not at this point in time, but I am very open-minded. So I know that that's a tough one, but it's just kind of hard when somebody says this is what happened to me and it's somebody that you trust,
I think the only time I seem to draw the line is like, I saw a Bigfoot. I'm like, I don't know about that one.
yeah. There's always those that are a little more believable than I think anything like for some reason I guess it seems to really revolve around my my family, and so I think it's usually the kind of stories I've heard more are like well, I saw this, this thing moved, or this chair or Coke can or whatever it is, I saw it move a few inches, kind of things like that. But I know my my grandfather, he used to live in a small town, and I think it was a town of about maybe 100 people, and he was a local teacher, and his house was known kind of as the to be haunted in that location. And so I grew up with stories from not only my mom but my aunts and uncles telling me that they used to see things in that house where they grew up in. So how do you it's hard for me to dismiss those things and say, oh mom, you don't know what you saw. So
now does your family hold any sort of superstition? Like something they can't do based on the belief that something will happen?
I don't think so. I think they look at it more from a religious perspective. So that's kind of the lens that they see it through, and not so much ghosts, but more possible these are spirits that we're seeing. So I think that's kind of the lens that they see it through. And so I don't know, maybe that comes into play somewhat, and they, it's their belief and their kind of religion that's driving it. But again, it's just so many people who have claimed to have seen things and experienced things. So part of me is like, well, maybe it is something that has been following our family for some time for whatever reason. But like I said, I myself have just never really seen or experienced any of it.
Yeah. Well, there's one main superstition, at least that I'm aware of in my family, and it's the reason I've never heard the song Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin.
Okay.
Well, apparently it runs in my family that we have like premonitory dreams. And for the most part they seem to come true, but it's usually nothing of consequence. It's like I'm at so and so's house and there's this many people in the house, that sort of thing. And apparently one night, one of my family members, or excuse me, two of my family members had the same dream of my mom getting in a car wreck while the song "Stairway to Heaven" was playing.
Oh wow.
And I heard this as a little kid, and I'm not, how do I put it? I'm not overly superstitious, but I'm not willing to test it just in case I'm wrong.
Oh, oh yeah, for sure. That's an easy one. Just don't. Yeah, you just don't listen to the song. Yeah.
And like I was hearing a discussion recently. It's like, man, "Stairway to Heaven's like the best song ever." I'm like, I wish I knew.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I can't agree with you there.
And YouTube keeps trying to recommend it to me, which is freaking me out.
And you're like, okay, what's going on?
Well, it's not like, oh, the whole album. It's literally just the song.
That's interesting. So is that just with this occasion, or has that happened with other sort of events?
No, that's the main sort of the main ritual, as it were, in my family.
Wow.
Is nobody listens to "Stairway to Heaven."
Wow, that's kind of interesting. Yeah. See, that's a very easy one to just. Yeah, I think I would do the same thing as you. Is why test the theory? It's just. Yeah. Let's not risk it. Yeah.
Well, I'm not. How do I put it? I'm not superstitious, but I believe in a version of Murphy's Law. Not that everything that can go wrong will go wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but I believe that now that you've mentioned it might go wrong, it's going to happen.
Yeah. No.
Oh, it'll be fine. It won't be fine.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, no, I think, So I think I see things kind of the same as you. I mean, if it's pretty easy to just avoid it, then let's not test the theory.
Well, there have been nights where, like, I usually listen to music when I'm going to sleep, and I know what, like, the beginning of "Stairway to Heaven" sounds like. It's like a kind of a gentle guitar solo. And so I'm like dozing off, and I start to hear that guitar. I'm like, no. Like,
Oh, I was just gonna ask that. What happens if like you're listening to the radio or a playlist of some kind, and it just pops up, and sometimes you're listening to music, but you're not quite registering what you're hearing. So it sounds like you're very in tune, just in case that song comes on.
well, it's funny you mentioned the radio one, because there have been times where I'm in the car with my mom, and I start to hear "Stairway to Heaven" start playing. We're both like, oh shit, oh no, and like hit the button. Change station, go.
Yeah, well, it is a pretty good song, not to make it more difficult for you, but yes, it's a very good song. Yeah, so because I'm trying to think of like if I had, a favorite song or just a song that I really, really enjoyed and I couldn't listen to it. If I didn't know that there was this song out there that was just like, this is a great song. I would love this song, but I would never know because, well, I'm never gonna listen to it. I wonder what that would kind of feel like.
You are now unable to listen to "Bohemian Rhapsody" by Queen.
Yeah, let's not. Yeah, I'm not saying I want to, experience what you're experiencing. So I think I'll keep listening to that song. Thank you.
I have to listen to it.
Yeah, and it's almost like whenever, it's almost like whenever someone says you can't do something, your part of you wants to do it even more.
Well, like, I have that moment, but then there's that thought of like, what if I'm wrong?
Like, what if you're wrong and
that
there's
usually
nothing?
stops me.
Oh, okay.
Well, like, what if I'm wrong and I listen to it and something happens?
Yeah. Oh, imagine how you would feel after that. Yeah. No, let's not. Yeah. Not worth it. Yeah.
It's the same reason I don't mess with Ouija boards.
Yeah, that's always an interesting one because I think I've always seen that as the same thing. I don't want to mess with it just in case. But then I don't know. Lately, I've kind of thought about that, and I'm just kind of asked myself, well, has anyone really ever? I mean, do you know anyone who's who's actually, played a Ouija board and have had any sort of experience with it. I mean,
Yes.
do you personally? You do? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I feel like a lot of that was like psychosomatic. It's like I heard
okay.
something in the house somewhere.
And it's also not, I mean, I would think that if I were to play it as well, same thing. I would just kind of psych myself out and, it would probably not be a great feeling. So
I think I just start asking dumb questions. All right, ghosts, what's my favorite color?
just as using comedy to diffuse the situation.
Where did I leave my keys?
Let's see if you're really there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I'm good for now, but maybe at some point in the future. Yeah, but let's not test it for now.
So, what made you want to get into a sort of violently swerving back onto the road here?
Yeah.
What made you want to do narrations?
Well, first of all, I guess I've always been, I've always loved horror ever since, I was young. So, inevitably, I guess I was going to do something with this genre. I've always also really enjoyed writing. I feel like that's one of the things I'm really good at is being a good writer. So I think originally it started off like that. I wanted to do scary stories, and I just wasn't quite sure how to start. And I think this was just a way for me to kind of do what I enjoy, but at the same time kind of do something new and interesting. And honestly, it just kind of one thing led to another, and I found myself here. I didn't intentionally set out to be a horror narrator. It's just I just ended up here, and I'm liking it so far. I mean, I'm really enjoying it. It allows me to both write, which I really enjoy, writing scary stories, and at the same time, it's almost like I'm a big introvert, but doing this kind of, I get to interact with a lot of other great people and put my videos out there, and I get to kind of hear people's feedback, and so I really enjoy that aspect of it as well.
Nice. Now I'm looking at your videos here. Do you have a video sort of outside of your writing and outside of sort of the creepypasta form? Do you have a favorite scary story?
Just anybody's scary story that I really enjoy. There was a scary story that I listened to that was, I think, a psychological horror with, I can't remember the name of it, but it was about somebody who was stuck in his room, and he felt like he couldn't leave his room because there was something that was going to happen to him, and there were people outside, like his friends, who he suspected of being, I guess, somebody took over their bodies, or so it was a psychological horror, and for whatever reason, that story really stuck with me because I just thought to myself, wow, if I myself was stuck in a room like that, could that plausibly happen to me? And I was thinking, I could probably freak myself out like that. It would be pretty easy to do. And I just found that extremely scary.
Well, if I recall, I can't recall what it's not. It's not Cotard's delusion. That's the belief that you're dead. But there's a psychosis where you believe that when somebody leaves a room and they come back, they've been replaced by somebody else.
Oh, I didn't know that had a term of its own.
If I remember, if I remember correctly, in future mean editing, I know I'm giving you more work, but help me out here. If I recall, Cotard's delusion is the belief that you are dead and rotting.
Oh, that's
even though you're fine.
Dead and rotting, even though you're fine. So is it almost like I'm not really here type of thing?
Yeah, or like I should be dead, like not in a suicidal sense, but just like I'm dead. I should be buried right now.
Interesting. Maybe it freaks me out because I've been hearing a lot recently about also the simulation theory, And so I guess that kind of does remind me of that, being here but not really actually being here or being real. Or so yeah, something about that I find unnerving.
Well, like buddy of mine, he was one of the good old fashioned conspiracy theorists. Because like I'd walk out into his room, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go into the kitchen. He goes, but if you leave the room, does the room behind you actually exist? He's like, does it only exist if you're perceiving it? I'm like, well, it's still, this room will still be here because you're in here and you exist because we're having this conversation. And he's like, how do you know it's not all simulation, man? I'm like, because if it is, then this simulation sucks.
Yeah. Who would want to put the simulation into place? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, this is a flawed simulation. Like, why would a simulation have this much of a problem?
What's the purpose of it? Yeah.
Yeah. And if there was even a chance you could wake up from it, what's the plan then? You know?
Yeah, it's that topics like that are kind of heavy, so I can't always, get too philosophical like that, because eventually you reach a point where you're like, okay, what am I talking about now?
Now, oh my goodness. Well, like, with just most theories, like there was one that my buddy of mine years ago made up that I'm a big fan of because he doesn't believe it in the slightest, but the way he presents it is all like half believable. He's like, he's like, the moon doesn't exist. It's just a giant flat screen TV projecting a photo of the moon. But then he's like, it's not above the Earth. It's the screen is in front of where the moon should be.
So part of his arguments are like, okay, well that's a good argument, but what you're arguing for, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Well, like his counter argument was usually like, how are you gonna go check? How can you be certain?
Yeah, that's like you yourself are just basically trusting and relying on other people and what they're telling you. You yourself, I guess, don't really know the math behind it and all of that. So I guess, I mean, well, has a point to a degree, I guess.
Now I've got a question for you. What is your stance on the Mandela Effect?
Oh, that's interesting. When I first heard about that, I watched a YouTube video about it, and they were going through the various different scenarios, and I was going, yeah, really, really getting into it. I think it could definitely be. I think if the Mandela Effect was really a real thing, I mean, we wouldn't know.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, who knows?
Exactly,
like,
right?
Yeah.
The universe changed, but you're the only person who can see it. Sure.
Yeah. No, I mean, we wouldn't know. It could be changing every single day, and we wouldn't know. So is it something like that possible? Yeah. I mean, of course, I'm not going to claim to be smart enough to really understand, how the universe works. But absolutely, I think something like that is possible. But just the way it's portrayed, though, no, where people are like, no, I don't really believe in it. As in these various different scenarios that I guess you see in YouTube videos and all that. No.
Well, I love the example that some people give of the Berenstein versus the Berenstain Bears.
Yeah,
Here's the thing. But here's the thing. It's both. Like, both spellings exist.
Oh, I didn't know that about that one.
And somebody even put a photo up where they're holding two books from that same series that say Berenstein and Berenstain. And have you heard of Captain Disillusion?
I have not.
So I highly recommend him because what he does is he'll go and debunk myths that are put on YouTube. Like, I can't believe the city's flying, and it's like, no, it's not. Here's how you even do this effect. But he did the Mandela Effect, and like, I wasn't a believer in the first place, but there's something about his speech at the end which always like gets me. It's hilarious, where he's looking into the camera and he goes, "But you can't be wrong. You can't possibly. It's the universe that's wrong. You, the special one, are in the wrong universe."
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to think about it, and I think it's like it's one of those things where it's fun to talk about. And I admit I enjoy listening to it and listening to the theories, and it's fun. But now, yeah, I don't think I'm a believer in the Mandela Effect.
I'm waiting for, like, I'm scared to ask. What about flat Earth? How do you feel about that one?
I am not a flat earther. I think at some point, same thing with me. You have to draw the line somewhere, and that one for sure. Surely people have gone around the world. That one is actually, you can prove it. So and that's what I don't understand. Like, I've seen, there was a documentary on Netflix about it. I can't remember. Do you remember what it was called? Do you know which one I'm referring to? There was a documentary about flat earthers, and where they used all these sort of different mechanisms to test their theory. But I'm thinking, surely that one is very easy to disprove, right? But I don't know. I don't understand.
Did you? Oh, that reminds me. Did you see that video where the guy got disproven in his own video?
No. What did they use? Do you remember by chance what they used to disprove the theory?
So they were like, this guy was being all incredulous. He goes, "Well, apparently, if you use a gyroscope to calculate the speed of the Earth's rotation by seeing how many degrees off of a 90-degree angle it is, you can determine that the Earth is indeed spinning and is a sphere, and it spins at 15 degrees, apparently." And so he goes, "We bought this high-tech laser, this high-tech laser gyroscope to determine," and he goes, "But for some reason we kept getting 15 degrees."
I think that was part of the documentary. That was awesome, because didn't they spend like a whole lot of money? They all went in, and
it was like a 4,000 piece of equipment.
Yes.
Oh God.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think a lot of things are fun to think about, but no, same. I'm very reasonable, so no.
Well, I'm always surprised. Pardon me. I'm always surprised by how often people's supposed evidence for that is just based on like their eyesight. Well, I was standing on the beach and I watched a ship disappear over the horizon. That means it's flat because they went over the edge.
Yeah, for things like that, I would imagine that, I guess a lot of other things come into play. People just wanting to be a part of a group and be accepted into something different. I imagine it's, I imagine it has to be a very small percentage of those who truly, really believe in it. Because otherwise, I imagine if they were hardcore believers, they would, actually try and prove their theory by, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't understand. I really don't understand it, I guess, to be honest.
I've been so tempted to like go into a forum for flat earthers and just pretend to be the new guy. I don't know. Is the Earth flat? What is it?
Like, hey
Where
guys,
do I find the ice walls?
I'm having doubts. Can y'all please just help me? Please support me with this and support me so I can truly get into this theory. Yeah, no, that I don't see that going over too well for you.
My friends and family think I'm crazy, but I need somebody to confirm that I'm not crazy. What about total strangers on the internet?
Yeah, no, that was a great documentary.
Oh my god! Now I have to go back and watch it. I have to watch that whole thing.
Yeah, is there anything like that? Is there anything like I guess anything outside of the box that you're a believer of? That maybe
Outside the
maybe
box.
that maybe most of society isn't a believer in. So anything somewhere between being a flat earther and I don't know, some sort
What's
of, believing in the simulation theory. So somewhere in between there.
Do I hold any bizarre beliefs?
Yes.
That's an interesting thing, because how do I word it? I don't believe in like karma.
Mm-hmm.
Like, good person do good thing will happen.
Yeah.
I sort of see it as a balance, a sort of weighing of the scales. But instead of it being one for one, I do good thing will happen. It's for every good thing, a bad thing probably has to follow it.
Mm.
But it's not like I'm constantly waiting for the bad thing. It's like, okay, something good just happened. Now I have to be extra vigilant just in case.
Oh, I do the same thing. When things are going great, I'm like, oh God. All right, I guess it's time for something bad to happen.
This is going so well. Oh, it's going so well.
Yeah, I wonder if that has a name, because I do the exact same thing. And when things are going bad, I'm like, oh, all right, finally getting the bad stuff out of the way. Something good is coming.
Yeah. And, like, even for the bad things, like, I explained this to a family member ages ago, where it's like there's no direct measure. Like, the wildest spectrum would be like, I found a penny, and it's heads up, which means it's lucky, and then I am immediately hit by a car. Like, that's the extreme.
It's just good, bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, a penny,
That is
bam!
funny. Something good happened. Of course, something bad had to happen next. Interesting. Okay. Huh.
What
Okay,
about you?
I thought that was just me.
What about you? What beliefs do you hold that are strange?
I don't know if I necessarily hold any I guess any type of those beliefs. I think it would basically be just I like sometimes listening to those YouTube videos that kind of describe the various different possibilities that can exist in the universe. And so sometimes they'll go off into theories that I'm like, what? Starting off with like I said, we're living in a simulation type thing, and then living in multiple dimensions and things like that. So I do think things like that could be possible, and I think those are some things that other people might go, come on, really? But no, I mean, I definitely think that it's just the universe is so grand and vast that I guess we just don't really know what's out there or what's possible or what's really happening in this reality. But I would say that I guess I'm very open-minded.
How do you feel about star signs?
I don't think I'm familiar with what are star signs.
Like Pisces, Capricorn, that sort of thing.
Oh, no, I'm not. I don't believe in that.
Same here, man. And I don't understand why people will gauge like other people by their star signs. Oh, I'm a Libra. We don't get along with Leos. I'm not going to hang out with that guy because he's a Leo, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, what's the rationale? Like, what? I don't understand it. Like, yeah, because you meet so many people that are like, if I guess fall under that sign. I'm a Cancer, but at the same time, there's this other Cancer, and we're just two completely different people. I mean, there's no like what? This isn't a real thing. But there's a lot of people who are passionate about that out there. Maybe it's fun to talk about or think about. I don't know.
Or the one thing a lot of people, from what I've seen, a lot of people don't take into account is when they read like horoscopes from advertisements or ads or even the newspaper. The thing is, all of those were written by an incredibly fallible human. that has no foresight into your life.
Yeah, I guess it's just one of those fun, but people get into them. I've seen some people go, swear by them, and I mean, some people really get into them. Hey, everybody to each its own. That's kind of my philosophy. You do you, I'll do me. Whatever makes you happy, as long as it's not
anybody.
as long as it's not hurting anyone. Exactly.
I have to sacrifice him to the sun god Ra because he's a Pisces. I have to.
Now, I respect your beliefs, but at the same time, you cannot kill Robert.
Oh God. Do you listen to very many comedians?
Some. I enjoy comedy. Yeah.
Have you ever listened to Patton Oswalt?
Uh-huh.
There's a point that he makes that, like, it's a very good point, and it's very close to the point you just made, where he brings up that a lot of people say, you have to respect everybody's beliefs, but he goes, well, sure, you can understand their beliefs, but you reserve the right to go, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. I think I'd agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I think it's and also I think if you believe in something, whatever it is, you should be able to express it and say what it is. But yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean that other people can't express their opinions about your belief, because that's their right as well.
Exactly. And then it, depending on how you respond to me calling your belief dumb, depends if we're going to keep hanging out.
Yeah, a lot of people are very sensitive, and I guess also they can't take criticism. And I think that's not a bad thing. I mean, I think we can tell. I think I can tell you your belief is certain beliefs are kind of dumb, and you can kind of say the same thing about me, and we can still kind of get along. I mean, we're not going to agree on everything, but people are just too diverse, and everybody kind of has their own opinions about things, their own beliefs, and everybody's just so different.
Well, then, like, even when it comes to sort of generalizing, like let's say flat earthers, for just the start, the top of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Like, even then, not everybody holds that same belief of what type of flat earth it is, or what's on the edge, or is it a disc? Is it a ice wall? Are we secretly living on a pog that's being bounced off the cosmos?
Yeah, I've seen it where it's branched off, and they just, like you said, they all have their own personal beliefs as to where it goes, and within that flat earth group, they each hold different opinions about it, just like you said. And that's the same thing about everything. And so there's no way that people can, I mean, you can't just group people into all those people that are flat earthers. I mean, it's just, there's a spectrum there.
Yeah. Well, I used to work with somebody who, before my shift had started, they came in to the break room, sat down, and they sat there for a moment in silence. And they sat up and went, I'm still on the fence about that whole flat earth thing.
What was your response?
In that department.
Oh god.
I just kind of like looked at him, just kind of slowly went back to my phone. I'm like, yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
I'm only here for 5 hours today. I don't want an argument. Let's just go to work.
Sometimes you just have to say that, like, all right, I'm not touching that, or I'm not messing with that today.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That you believe that.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm proud that you have that belief.
Oh god.
Now, you've mentioned not having any sort of paranormal or supernatural experience occur, and neither have I, mostly. I've had a couple of run-ins, which I would argue is like strange timing more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
There's one that stands out in my mind, and if I remember, I told it back when I interviewed Zombified. But it was just like I was a kid and I saw like a guy standing under like a lamppost. And when I went to go tell my dad and we came back, he's just gone.
Hmm.
And like that sticks with me, but I won't like I'm not like it's a ghost, but it's like how the hell did that guy move that quickly? You know.
How much time do you remember how much time had passed? Like enough time that realistically he could have gone somewhere, or
unless he broke into a full tilt sprint and somehow made it so he was standing under a street light like that was in front of a huge row of hedges, like those kind of unbroken, really neat hedges.
Right.
And what got me was what he was wearing, which weirds me out even more. It's not like he was dressed like in rags, or you know, he didn't have a skull face or anything like that.
Right.
But he was wearing like a suit with like an overcoat, and he was just kind of standing there with his hands in his pockets.
Yes. So it would be.
What's up?
So it would be kind of unrealistic for him to just kind of you turn around and he just kind of takes off.
Like the time it took for me to go get my dad and come back, it couldn't have been more than 30 seconds. Like literally,
Okay.
Hey Dad, come back here, and then like we looked up and down the street, nothing. And like I still think about that once in a while.
Well, it was freaky enough to that I guess it made an impression on you and you still remember it. Oh. No, I would say probably the only thing that's come close is just I was talking to my mom one day, and I forgot, I don't remember what we were talking about, but she gave the phone to my sister, and I was talking to my sister, and my sister said, "Is anyone else in the apartment?" And I said, "No, why?" And she said, "Well, because my mom said she heard somebody talking in the background." And I told her, "Well, I don't have my TV on or anything, so I don't know what you could have heard. Was it just noises or?" And she said, "No, she distinctively heard somebody talking." And I mean, I don't remember anything going on, or neighbors, you know, couldn't have been that loud or I would have heard them. And so that was always kind of weird. And so I said, okay, well, there's nobody here, so I'm not sure who she heard. But that was kind of a weird thing, and that's probably the only thing that's happened. And again, I didn't necessarily experience anything, but it's just, you know, when people keep experiencing things, you're just kind of like, But you know what it probably, I don't know if it could have been this, but has it ever happened to you where you're on the phone with somebody and I guess the lines get crossed and somebody else, you know, jumps on the line? Has that ever happened to you, like just a random person?
That hasn't happened to me on the phone, but it has happened to me over a walkie-talkie.
Yeah, because that's happened to me. Yeah, that's happened to me over a cell phone, at least on a couple of different occasions. So, I mean, I guess possibly could have been something like that, but who knows?
Well, I used to work outside a lot, and I had a walkie-talkie on me so my managers could call me to go help with whatever. And I, like, the easiest way to chalk it up is that there was a neighborhood right behind the store I was working at. And what I'm guessing is some kids had walkie-talkies of a very similar build and wavelength. Because I'm sitting around pushing carts, and, like, my managers, a guy, and all of my other coworkers are men. But then I hear, like, a little girl's voice go, "Hello?" And I'm alone at night in the middle of a parking lot. I'm like,
Who's there?
I'm like, not now. Like, of all the things I'm not superstitious about, I am afraid of the dark. So I'm, like, standing, like, in the streetlights, like, oh no, only please don't let this be a thing right now.
Can you wait until I get inside the store?
Yeah, wait until where there's more light.
Yeah, or when I'm around other people, please.
Somewhere I can prove it.
Man, that can actually be kind of creepy if she's like, hello?
Well, it sounded like it sounded like two kids were testing there. Because it was just, hello? And I'm like, what?
That's kind of weird. Yeah.
Yeah, and I tried to like answer back. I'm like, hello? Anybody? And nothing.
Oh, well, that's even creepier that it just kind of nobody responds.
Yeah. Ugh.
That sounds great.
Great fun. Now, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
What fears do you have?
Well, I have some practical fears and other random fears. Obviously, I guess I have the regular fears of certain things like tarantulas and I think that would probably be the biggest thing I'm afraid of. But on a more on a different level, I was raised a Protestant, and growing up, when you're growing up in a religion like that, they talk to you a lot about hell. And I remember watching. Have you ever seen the movie Drag Me to Hell?
Yes.
Well, I remember when I was I can't remember how old I was, but that scene towards the end, where it ends in basically the last scene.
Yeah.
Just really freaked me out.
That screaming nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah, that really freaked me out. But I think something like that is just like I think that's a fear that's universal, obviously. But even more than that, just the idea of not existing. It's pretty freaky. Like all of a sudden, one day you're just gone and that's it, lights off, type of thing.
Yeah.
But so I don't know if those are the kind of fears you were asking me about, but.
Oh yeah, you can be rational or irrational.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a big one, and I don't think about stuff like that really often, but every once in a while something will happen that'll kind of trigger that thought, and you're like, oh yeah, one day I'm going to die, and who knows what's going to happen next.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because personally I'm on sort of the opposite spectrum of it. Not that I'm not going to be like, I don't fear death, but it's more of I've accepted that it's an inevitability. And like I'm fine with that.
Like it's gonna happen. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do to change it, type of thing.
Yeah. So I best make do with the time that I have, sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah, man. That's tough because I mean, I don't know. Like just imagining, once you get to your deathbed and I don't know, like, would you want to know, when you're going to die, or would you rather it just kind of happen?
A little bit of both, honestly. I'd like a general concept. Like, give me the day that I'm going to go, but don't give me the hour.
Okay, yeah, I like that. So you have kind of an idea, but you're not like, oh my god, counting down the clock until it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's May 14th, 20 years from now. I'm like, all right, time to just do as much as I can in the next 20 years and then clock out.
Yeah, you know what? That'd be great, because you're like, okay, this is the end date. I can do what I want, and I know when it's happening. Yeah. Yeah, wouldn't that be great? Yeah.
Now, do you have any irrational fears?
Irrational fears?
Yeah.
Nothing else I can really think about. I think that's probably just probably the idea of not existing one day. That's probably it. My most irrational fear.
Not the dark or heights or anything like that?
Oh, well, yeah. I have a big fear of heights. I actually, when I was younger, used to work putting up Christmas lights. And I got that job, and they took out this little ladder, and I was like, okay, I can do this. And it was the scariest thing in my life, because I don't know if I knew I was scared of heights before then, but I did it, and I put the Christmas lights around the tree, and then I think it was the next day or 2 days later, they're like, okay, time to put lights on this other tree, and they took out the biggest ladder that I have ever seen in my life. I've never seen ladders like this. It's spread out like three times.
One of those like 40-foot ladders.
Yes. And they were like, all right, time to go up. I said, I can't do that. I literally can't do that.
I'm sweating, man. I'm sweating.
I tried, but I think they cut me some slack. They're like, all right, he's a young kid. Well, you stick down here. You stick to down here. But man, I think that's when I really knew, wow, I can't do. I literally cannot force my feet to climb up a ladder. I just can't, even a small one now. I don't know why. My body just, it doesn't listen to my brain.
Well, so you know how there are certain like hardware companies like Lowe's or Home Depot?
Yeah.
Those big kind of warehouse stores. You know how they have those ladders that are the steps that go up like 20 feet?
Mm-hmm.
So I worked at one of those just to keep the mystery afloat. One of them for some time. And some customer... So here's the thing. I'm a considerably large man in terms of density and height and all this. And essentially, I weigh more than I look. And a lot of ladders don't accompany my weight. It's like a 250-pound minimum or maximum for those ladders, and I am 100 pounds heavier. And so some customers like, I need this light fixture, but you're out on the shelf, but I see one at the very top of this shelf, at the very at the ceiling. Can you go up the ladder and get it for me? And I go, sure. And I even tried to look around for like the lighting associate, and they're gone. I can't find them. And so I'm like wobbling my way up this ladder, and they're like, "You're right up there." I'm like, "Yeah, it's fine."
Oh God. Oh God.
Well, my problem was with every step, you can feel the entire thing wobble.
Oh man.
And I finally got the box, and I'm like, essentially vibrating as I'm walking down the steps.
Don't they have any like alternative ladders or anything?
I wish. But I was almost half tempted to go over, because the place where I had worked, they have this, it functions like a forklift, but you're standing kind of on the forks, and it raises you up to go grab something. And so I'm like maybe if I can find somebody who's certified for that, they can just do that for me.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know what? It'll be faster if I just get up. Like, it'll be over faster.
Just get it over with type of thing.
Yeah, I won't have to explain to 5 people that I'm terrified of heights.
I told myself I would never put myself in that situation again. But I guess, first off, I didn't know that I guess that was a hard way to learn that I was afraid of heights. But what happened to me one time was, where I tried to kind of battle my fear, of heights. There was this roller coaster that I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. I don't care how scary it looks. This isn't a thing that's going to beat me.
Is it the Ring of Fire?
No, it was this, I don't even know what it's called, but you get on it and it takes you it's on top of a skyscraper, or not a skyscraper, but a tall building. And it
one
basically,
of those drops?
No, it's not a drop. It just like hangs you out like off of the building, and brings you back up. So I get on the line. I go all the way to the front, and I get there, and they're like, "Come on, you're next, sir. Sir, come on up." And I'm just like looking around. Sir, come on, you're next. You're holding up the line. So I couldn't do it. I left. I left, but I was so happy once I was back down to on the ground. I was like, you know what? It's okay to have fears. You don't have to fight each one of your fears. Yeah.
You don't have to. I mean, you can attempt to face all of them, but it's not like the movies and TV where you're like, I'm magically over it.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't quite work like that. Maybe one day, but it's beaten me up until this point, and I'm okay with that. I don't think I'll be ready to face that fear if it's the rest of my life. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Someday when I'm 80, it's just like, you know what? I am going to climb up that ladder. I'm going to catch that spider with my bare hands.
Like, Grandpa, what's on your bucket list? It's climbing this ladder.
Climb ladder, face the darkness.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm terrified of the dark.
What do you think? What is it about the dark that scares you?
It's not like now there's a demon in here with me or anything like that. It's more so the complete disorientation of like, where am I? Where do I go? Like not darkness as in like only the TV's on. That's fine to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's the complete like pitch black. And that it's just like I don't know where I am, and I don't know if there's something in here with me. And if I remember, so there was a night way back when where I'd just gotten a cat, and he liked to like lay on my chest while I slept.
Yeah.
But one of the first nights that happened, I was laying in bed in complete darkness, and I felt like something on my bed move. And keep in mind, I had just gotten this cat. I kind of forgot I even had him. And so I feel like a weight move across the bed and then like up onto my stomach and onto my chest. And I'm like, and I'm sitting there with my eyes closed. I'm like, oh God. Like I'm going to wake up and there's just like some gremlin sitting on my chest.
What is that? Yeah.
And I open my eyes and there's my cat's face like an inch away from my nose. I'm like, oh, this is fine.
Yeah. Cats are interesting. I have a cat. Yeah, that's yeah, no, I think for sure. I think for me, darkness is kind of like there's that fear of the unknown, That's kind of freaky. Like you don't know what's there, and I guess that's kind of for everybody. So I can see that. I mean, it's kind of hard. I don't know if I believe anyone who says they're completely fine with the dark. I mean, I think there's it comes from somewhere, that fear comes from somewhere. But I do think that I also have this thing where, like, have you ever taken a nap during the day and you wake up and you're disoriented and you're like, where am I? What day is it? I hate that feeling. I think that's kind of the feeling that you might get in the dark where you're disoriented. It's just like I've gotten up before and I'm just like, I literally don't know what's going on, or it takes me like a good few seconds to register, who am I even? I don't know if you've ever gotten that feeling, but it's pretty freaky.
For me, it's more not where am I, it's how long was I out? Like, how long was I asleep? Because sometimes I'll nap for, how do I word it? Like, sometimes I'll nap for functionality's sake. Like, man, I am tired. I'll take a quick nap. But sometimes I overshoot my alarm and suddenly it's 6 hours later.
Oh.
And I wake up and it's dark outside. I'm like, oh no.
Man, I am a heavy sleeper. My alarm is so loud that that I've had neighbors complain before about my alarm. But that's the only way I can wake up. I can't wake up otherwise.
Buddy of mine is a heavy sleeper, and you can like shake them, and they will look at you, and you're like, "Hey, it's time to wake up," and they're like, "All right, sure, yeah," and then gone out.
Yeah, that's me. It's
And
great.
then later, hey, why didn't you? My favorite one's like later on. Hey, why didn't you try to wake me up? I did.
Yeah. Yep. Used that line before. Yeah.
You refuse. Oh, so do you ever have this happen to you where you'll be woken up for something and then forget that thing happened because you went back to sleep?
Like in what way?
Like when I was with my ex, she would wake me up to like ask me a question, and then I would give an answer and then go back to sleep, but then wake up hours later having no recollection of the question ever being asked.
Yes. Yes, that has happened to me.
You said you'd help me with the dishes. I'm like, what? Wait, what? Well, I woke you up and asked you. I'm like, that's why I don't remember.
Yeah, I wonder if that's just a thing with heavy sleepers, because I've also gotten to know extremely light sleepers that wake up over anything, and I don't know which one's better from the two. I can tell you that I enjoy the way I sleep. It has its downsides when you have to wake up, sometimes and you don't want to. But yeah, I don't know which one would be better.
Well, that's one of my biggest pet peeves is it's not being woken up, but it's being woken up for nothing. Like if somebody's like pulling a prank on you or something. That
And you're like, really? How many
what's up?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I've been woken up like by my dad being like, "Oh, yeah, it's time for school," and it's like Saturday.
That's awesome.
And I get midway through being dressed, I'm like, "Oh, you son of a bitch!" Oh.
God, that's funny though. Come on.
Not at the moment, it is.
That's a good dad joke. Yeah, that's definitely a good dad joke to pull. I feel like if you're a dad, you kind of have to do that.
You're given a list of prerequisites.
Yeah. That's funny.
What were you saying?
Oh, I don't know. I lost my train of thought.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we can move on.
Oh, so you mentioned Drag Me to Hell. Do you watch a lot of scary movies?
Yeah, I would say not as much as I would like. I think when I was younger, I did, but nowadays I think I did get Shudder for that reason, because I really wanted to I canceled my Netflix because I was just like I was spending way too much time just binging on shows and movies. Yeah, and I just didn't care about them. I was just kind of watching them. So I figured that this other service was more kind of my something that I would enjoy. But honestly, probably not as much as I would like. But I think more than the average person. Yes, I've watched more scary movies probably than the average person, I guess I would say.
Do you have a favorite genre?
I think I'm just gonna stick with psychological horror, but yeah, that seems to be because that's just what freaks me out the most. I mean, everything else, it's kind of maybe. So my mind automatically goes to because I used to I went to school for my undergrad was kind of in art with a concentration in film. So when I see movies, my mind is automatically going, oh, the cinematography, oh, the shots, or oh, the director's probably thinking this, or so that's what my mind automatically does when I watch some movies, and it's very hard to get myself out of that. But I guess I would say the other genre would probably be anything that's paranormal, is just kind of freaky. Anything that's based on like something can happen in real life to you. And
Yeah.
I think that's kind of why I do stories. That's kind of the theme of my podcast. You know, it's like stories grounded in reality, things that could plausibly happen in real life, because I think those are the scariest, because you go, oh, you know, that's something that can actually happen to me.
I'm a big fan of like the slasher genre, because like, weirdly enough, part of that's psychological for me too. Like, I find Jason Voorhees to be absolutely terrifying simply because you can't stop him.
Yeah.
Like, that's the scariest, more than any ghost or ghoul out
Yes.
there. It's like, I can't stop him.
You know, I've actually had, that's funny you say that, I've actually had, when I was younger, nightmares about him, like following me, and just like you said, like there's nothing you can do to stop him. He keeps coming after you, and everybody else has kind of like this like it's something, one of those, like, if it happened in real life, what would you do type of thing. Like, he's unstoppable. When I was younger, I definitely had nightmares about Jason. But what is your favorite movie in that genre? Would it be Friday the 13th?
That's a good question, because how do I word it? There are two different things I look for in scary movies, but they're also two very different types of movies. Like, there's the Friday the 13th franchise, which started off kind of spooky, then got kind of corny. You know?
Yeah.
Having the double mint twins in there and all that.
Yeah.
But, like, I love cheesy horror movies, and that's why I love the you know, the Nightmare on Elm Street series and all that. But then there's the other side of horror, which is horror movies that are actually scary to me. And for me, it's like, you've made a good scary movie if you can make me want to stop watching it. Like, if I feel like I need to get up and leave the room, you've done your job. Have you seen the movie Mother?
Yeah, I watched it, I think, when it first came out. I don't remember too many details about it, but that was a strange one. That was it had what, if I'm thinking about the correct one, it had the woman from what's her name? Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah, that was an interesting one. That one's one I had to watch. I think I watched it 3 different times, and then I had to listen to analysis of the movie to try and understand what was actually going on. But no, I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Well, the thing that, like, I watch reviews very rarely on movies, because I believe that everybody's outlook is different. But I will how do I word it? I don't like those reviews where it's like, I give it a 5 out of 10, you know? But for that movie Mother, somebody, I think it was Nick Spheres years ago, said it's like that the movie Mother is like watching somebody else's nightmare. And I'm like, all right, sold. I have to see it now. And you know what? They're right. It's like witnessing a fever dream made real. And it's,
yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say, just that whole movie was just spent like kind of arms crossed, like, oh god, I'm so uncomfortable.
It was freaky. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of, you know, it's fun to see or hear what other people get out of it, and what they have to say about it. But I think I agree. It's like, you want to go into it and without listening to what other people have to necessarily, what they get out of it, so that you can kind of just experience it on your own. But I always enjoy kind of hearing other people do their breakdown, their analysis of the movies, just to kind of, because it's kind of interesting going, oh, I didn't think about that, or that's definitely a possibility, or hearing their perspective, their theories on it. I always find that kind of interesting. But I think the way you described it, or what that person said, it's somebody else's nightmare. There was a Hellraiser movie that kind of did that to me. I'm trying to think of what it was called. What it was a Hellraiser movie with. It was the one involving surrounding just one detective, and I guess the detective was pulled into some other kind of nightmare or universe where he couldn't get out of it. And for whatever reason, that one really got to me, and I was thinking, oh my god, that one that one just freaked me out.
Oh. Well, I think a lot of good horror movies are dependent on believable, not overall characters, but believable main characters. At least one, you know. And
Did you
there was, what's up?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say there was a movie I saw I want to say 1 or 2 years ago called The Invitation. Have you happened to have seen it?
I don't think so.
I want to say his name was Alexander Skarsgård, not Bill Skarsgård. But that whole movie puts the doubt on the main character. Like there are genuinely moments where you're like, okay, he might be the problem. And then like come to find out that he's not. It's not that he's crazy. Oh, it's Logan Marshall Green. But like he starts acting sort of strange, and then you're like, oh, he's the crazy one. And then it's like, oh, wait, no, everybody around him's nuts, and he's just, like, freaking out because everybody's nuts around him.
The Invitation.
Yeah. Yes, from 2015. I recommend it.
Okay, I'll have to add that to my list. No, I haven't. I have not seen it.
Do you have do you have a movie recommendation?
Well, let me think about this. I think I just recommended a movie to somebody the other day. I think it was called. Have you seen American Mary?
You know, that's weird that you bring that up because I've been being recommended that by a couple of people the last couple days. Huh.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting. That's kind of an interesting movie. I think it's from 2015, and I can't give you a lot of details on it because I don't really remember it too well. But it stayed with me, and I think it might be a movie that you enjoy. I don't think it was. I think it was pretty well received. I just don't think it was like a wide distribution. But it was a good movie. That's one I would recommend.
Now, if I recall, wasn't American Mary a sort of supposed sequel to American Psycho?
I've never heard that theory if it was, but I don't know how it would be though.
I don't know. I'll have to look into it. Have you seen American Psycho?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fantastic movie.
I love how weird that movie gets. Feed me.
It takes you on a ride. Yeah. I assume that if you like slashers, you were a fan of Scream.
Yes.
I feel like that movie had a lot of quotable, it had a lot of quotable moments.
What's your favorite scary movie and whatnot?
Yeah. Well, a lot of good stuff.
Well, like for years, like I was exposed to scary movies. Let's say too early.
Like everybody else, yeah.
Yeah, like 5 or 6 years old. Hey, you want to watch?
Okay.
Look, Freddy vs. Jason just came out. You want to watch it? And I'm like, oh shit. Well, on a side note, I had a misconception about Freddy vs. Jason, when I was a kid, I thought Jason was the good guy.
Oh, really?
Like, I thought he was the hero. And
Where did
I
you get that
remember,
from?
I think it was just because he wasn't, like, laughing in people's faces when he killed them. That sort of thing.
Hmm.
And, well, like, how do I word it? Like, again, I'm a kid and I don't exactly know who Jason is or what he does because I haven't seen any of the other movies.
Right.
And so the whole time I'm like, oh, he's trying to help those teens. Because he's fighting Freddy. I'm like, oh, he's trying to help him. And then he, like, cuts one of them in half. I'm like, oh, God.
Oh, that's great.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
well, you know that moment where Freddy drops all that rebar on him and it, like, impales him?
I think so. Yeah.
So when that happened, I remember, like, as a kid, starting to get, like, teary-eyed and almost crying because I'm like, oh no, he's losing.
That's awesome.
But back on the topic of Scream, I think we need more movies like that, where it's still a horror story, but it's kind of vaguely self-aware.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think I agree. I think it had a lot going for it, and it was a very smart movie. And I think it's just I don't know. I think it also, it just depends on a lot of different factors like the writing, the director, and I wish they could make so many other better horror movies in general.
Well, I read I read an analysis on like how horror movie villains are designed, and they brought up a great point about the ghost face outfit.
Mhm.
And it was something I hadn't considered, that the mask is sort of mocking the victim's last moments. Like, it's a stretched out look of terror that the victim is staring into, but they're also making that face.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder how much. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you wonder like how much detail do they really put into the movies? Like, is this just a theory somebody came up with, or was there really? But I mean, I don't know. Just for that movie, I can see that.
Well, it's like that joke I've been hearing more and more lately, where it's like the author has no meaning or no bigger idea behind their story, but then like a language arts teacher's like, well, what do you think they meant? Does it really stand for, communism and all this?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's true.
and I wonder what percentage that is in terms of like,
Yeah.
like, if I remember, there was the story of oh my god, it was designing Jason, where it's like, all right, we have his face all messed up and he's like this huge hulking monstrosity. It's like, but God, we should cover his face with something. And like one of the production assistants was like, I have a hockey mask in my trunk.
I've heard that. Yeah. Um, hey, that's great. I wonder how many theories there were out there about how they came up with the hockey mask.
I think it's important to not get a perfect. I don't think there's such a thing as a perfect design for any character, but if you're gonna go for a specific look, I think you should stick with it. Like Freddy always has the sweater and the fedora, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
what I like about Jason's mask is the minute that comes off, you know shit's gone sideways.
And yeah, and it's a great also face, and I like that. I don't think they've shown the face too much, and I think the less they show it, the more of an impact that it has also.
Mm. Well, if I remember, they made a joke about it, and I think it was the reboot of Friday the 13th, where somebody like tears the bag off of Jason, and he's like, "That's not right," and then he gets killed.
There was yeah, there was a movie that this was a very low budget movie that I watched years ago, but there was this, I guess the main villain from the movie was this he was just a general monster type of person, and I forgot what he did, but he did something to turn into the monster, and how they portrayed that was that he bent over and made a facial expression, and that was the monster. That was the transformation, and I remember thinking like, you got to put some effort into it, low budget or not. I mean, you got to go with something. Come on. I mean, that's not even. And when I say low budget, I don't mean like a student film. I mean like, it still had a significant amount of production value. But
Yeah.
I remember just thinking, come on, don't insult your audience.
Have you seen Terrifier?
I have not. No.
Oh, like that. A lot of people give that movie guff for it being not short, but like there's not a lot of story put into it, but I think that helps it. It's like, all right, here's the problem, which is Art the Clown. Here's the problem, and then you meet the main characters. You're like, all right, there's the killer. There are the victims. Good luck, everybody. Yeah, it's just...
Is it? So would you say it's good or?
it's a good horror film,
Okay.
and it doesn't take a lot to understand it.
Okay, so all right.
Yeah,
So you want to enjoy just a good horror movie, then
good old fashioned horrifying stuff happening to people. That's the one.
yeah, you don't go into it expecting this great story.
I need like a Christopher Nolan horror movie.
Yeah.
I
So
want to
what-
have to do research.
What got you into this doing this?
Demasked?
Yeah.
It came from it's something I've wanted, not in this format, of course, but the general idea came from years ago of just watching, early Markiplier and PewDiePie and all that, and it's just like I want to talk to them. I want to talk to them and see what they're like off camera. Like I don't watch PewDiePie as of late, but I'm really interested in what he does when he's not recording. Like, what does that look like to him? And
Okay.
yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So would you say that with all your interviews that you have found, like, have they been pretty much like, oh, okay, that's kind of what I expected, or have they been kind of like, you interview someone and you kind of realize that is not what I was expecting this person to be like, or?
No, it's every interview is like that. And the thing is with most, like, even today's interview, what's happening right now, I had no preconceived notions as to what kind of person you are. And so I'm like this there, and the funniest part is, and I've had a couple people ask me this. There's no script here, and I've done minimal research because I want to talk to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's always...
It's
What's that?
no, I was just gonna say it's kind of like it's almost like I guess how you go into your watching your movies.
Yeah. I'll it's essentially jumping into the deep end. But that's what I want.
Yeah.
Like it's purpose built to be unscripted and unfocused, because I think it's a more honest conversation if we're just naturally jumping from thing to thing.
Yeah. No, I think I agree with that. It's just a more natural, free-flowing conversation, and you probably get a better understanding of what the person is actually like that way, and it's probably much more enjoyable and entertaining for both parties involved.
Well, let's here's an example. So if I were to have started this interview today strictly talking about only your channel, and that's it, no offshoots, no branching paths, what do you do on YouTube, and that's it, would you have rather that or the long-winded conversation you and I had about conspiracy theories and superstition?
Yeah, I don't think I can talk about my channel for as long as we've talked about other things.
Exactly.
That probably would have lasted like maybe 15 minutes, and then I would have been like, yeah, I mean, it's a good channel.
Spooky stories. All right, see you later.
Yeah. No, this is definitely much more enjoyable. Yeah.
But like I used to have like a bullet point list of questions I wanted to ask, and then I kind of slowly threw that out the window because I realized that I may be asking one of those questions every half hour.
And does it ever get to, like, have you ever had a situation where it's just not like either it doesn't click or it's just like, the conversation just doesn't move forward for whatever reason?
I've had a couple where it's sort of come to a natural stop, but how do I word it? I'm a big advocate for what I like to call asking stupid questions.
Yeah.
Well, it's so, like the topics we covered today. Are you superstitious? Is your family superstitious? Have you met a ghost and all this? But then there's the sort of pocket of dumb questions where it's like, what's your favorite color?
Yeah.
Speaking of which, what's your favorite color?
It's green.
Sick.
Mm-hmm.
Mine's bubblegum pink.
Interesting.
Yes.
You don't I guess meet a lot of men who have the favorite color of pink. What attracted you to that color?
I just think it's a pleasant color. And it doesn't hurt my eyes to look at.
It is a nice color. So, did you ever try that bubble gum? The what was it? That gum that's like that roll up gum. You know which one I'm
bubble
talking?
tape?
Yeah. God, that was so good.
You bet I have. And I totally did try to eat the entire thing at one point.
Yeah, I think that's a rite of passage type of thing.
I would say you'd be hard pressed to find somebody who hasn't.
Yeah, that was some good gum.
Well, there was a day where I think I got one of those for like Easter, and I'm sitting in my room. I'm like, I could probably just get the whole thing. I didn't even unroll it. I just kind of stuffed the whole roll. So on the flip side of that, why is your favorite color green?
I think it was a specific moment I remember when I was younger that I looked at it and I was like, wow, like this color just stands out much more than any other color. Like this color is amazing. And that's just kind of always stayed with me. Honestly, I never even have thought about it again. I just same thing that you said. It's a very pleasant color to look at. I like different shades of green. It just kind of stands out. And lately I've been looking at the color orange, and I'm like, that's a nice color.
I like orange as well. That used to be my favorite before I switched over to pink.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the complementary, like pink and blue. I don't know if you could tell.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I guess people just your tastes and likes can evolve over time.
Yeah. Well, I've had people try to like psychoanalyze like the design of my mask.
What kind of things have they said?
It's like, what does it mean that it's, pink and that you have tears and all this? And like, I just like how it looks, man.
Yeah, but what does it mean? What were you thinking when you came up with that pattern?
I got in like a 40-minute argument about what the name Fresman means. and I kept giving the same answer, which is the crazy thing. Like, why the name Fresman? I'm like, because that's hi, my name's Fresman. Yeah, but what does it mean? I'm like, hello, I'm Fresman. Nice to meet you.
That must be kind of interesting, though. People, something that you do, that you decide on, and you have people who are like trying to overanalyze it, and that sounds like it'd be kind of interesting. I mean, sounds like it would be kind of a good feeling. Like, I chose this thing, and somebody is analyzing this thing that I chose or this thing that I created.
It also makes me happy because it's apparently severely frustrating to some people.
They want a deeper answer than I liked it.
Yeah. Why do you wear a mask? Because I want to.
Yeah, but why? Do you think you're trying to hide something within your soul?
Yeah. Are you a guilty conscience? No, I just wanted to wear one because I don't want my face on you. That's that simple, man.
Yeah, but is there something you want to confess?
Yeah. Are you guilty? Yes, guilty of wearing a mask. Ha ha ha. Oh.
That's funny.
Oh my God. See, the hope is that I do the Fresman thing long enough that if I ever have kids, I'll be able to like have to hide it from them like it's a secret shame.
Well, but you'll eventually tell them.
Well, I have this, so I want it to be like something out of a 90s movie where it's all hidden like in the attic, but you can see it, You know what I mean?
Like where it's you mean like where it's hidden, but then one day they just kind of stumble upon it and they're like, Dad is Fresman?
Dad, what's this mask? I'm like, I have to tell you something.
There's an alter ego that you don't know about.
Your dad ran one of the most obscure internet shows in the late 2010s and early 2020s, and
yeah, man, that would be, I see that playing out pretty awesomely in my head. Yeah, I think it's something you should go for.
That's totally something I should plan for.
Yeah. Because that moment would be pretty priceless. Like, going, Dad? What do you mean?
Just pretend it's my biggest shame. What's this mask?
Oh God.
Sit down. I need to talk to you. Well, I mean, the ultimate goal is for like, and this is a big if YouTube still exists by the time I have children, have them take up the mantle.
Yeah.
Fresman's back, and why does he look 20 years younger? What's going on?
Yeah, come in with some redesigned masks for the kids. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I thought about, like, as I get older, add, like, a gray streak in the temples of my mask.
Oh, you totally should.
Like, change
But
nothing
then-
but 2, like, gray rectangles.
But then you know what? Your arguments about just kind of there's no meaning behind it would kind of not hold up anymore because people would be like, he's putting some thought into this. There's something he's not telling us.
I do enjoy getting more and more, like, nebulous about it. Where it's like, why do you wear that mask? Like, what mask? What are you talking about?
I love that. I think that's great.
You sound insane right now.
Oh my god, that's awesome. That's my kind of That's my kind of sense of humor. It is kind of weird to think about in the future. I guess if YouTube's no longer around, what would replace it? Like I guess something we can't even think about. I guess when you just think back at the level of progress that we've had with not only technology but social media, and just years ago where we couldn't have imagined some of the things we have now, and just kind of thinking into the future. And it is kind of interesting. I do like kind of thinking about that sometimes and just thinking what's next, what's going to be the next thing, and it just whatever it is takes off so fast, So there'll be something.
I think if ever YouTube ceases to exist, I'll just shoot for, like, public access television. Become a late night talk show host, which is already kind of the plan.
Yeah. Hey man, you should follow your dreams.
I intend to, but I don't have the budget for it.
Have you followed at all, like, what they're anything that they're doing with, like, have you heard of Neuralink?
I've heard of it, but I haven't done the research.
Okay. Well, I don't really have much to add about it, but I think basically I was just kind of wondering, do you ever think about, like, do you know what a futurist is?
Yes.
Do you ever, like, does that topic interest you at all?
What, being a futurist or the future?
Just futurism in general, and listening to what futurists have to say and their predictions of where we're headed on all these things, technology being, I guess, the main thing.
Well, I think in terms of predicting the future, I won't say foolhardy. I won't say it's ridiculous to try to predict the future, because everybody tries to predict the future. Whether it be for themselves or for somebody else. But in terms of somebody who thinks they can look 30 years into the future, you can make a prediction, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to be as close as you think it's going to be. Like if we were to go back and talk to, let's say, set designers on a film set in the future, because you could argue those are futurists as well, because they have to sort of guess what the future is going to look like. Like Blade Runner happened 2 years ago, and we don't have cars that just take off from the city streets. Not everybody speaks 5 languages, and it's not raining all the time. And like, you know what I mean? Like, that movie is set in 2019.
Yeah.
And we don't have replicants. We have Sophie, who is passable, I guess. For a torso on a stick, but
and freaky looking.
Yeah, but I've heard so many, like, I've seen people look at interviews with Sophie and they're like, oh my god, the robots are going to take over. I'm like, she can't move. Like, she can't move by herself. She can barely shake somebody's hand.
Yeah.
But, like, in terms of, like, the Terminator future, I don't think that's feasible, at least not within most of the people watching this as lifetime. You know?
I mean, I don't know. I think I mean, I don't know. I think in our lifetime, I think we may I don't know. I think we'll experience some pretty remarkable things. But it is kind of interesting to think about, like, back then, you know, how they thought we would be so much further advanced, like using Blade Runner as an example. But at the same time, I think they yeah. But at the same time, I think there are other areas in which we've probably exceeded what they thought we were capable of, you know, with the internet, you know, as an example, that, you know, they'd probably be like, what? Or you know, going further back than the internet was created. But
well, there's a book that, weirdly enough, I found on a train that I read, but it might now be one of my favorite science fiction stories, and it's called My Name is Legion by Robert Zelansky. Or Zelazny, there we go. But it takes place in the distant future of 2005. Because it was written in, like, 1976.
yeah.
But the thing is, it presents an outlandish an outlandish sci-fi concept that we are closer to now than to actual 2005. And it's the idea of controlling a robot through your brain. And there's like I allow me to push my glasses up a little bit and get my nerd cap on. But
Proceed.
but from what I've seen in its current state, we're not able to read brainwaves in terms of, you know, here's your dream on a screen, you know, the sort of thing.
Right.
We can detect patterns in brainwave activity, but in terms of turning on and activating a machine, it's more of a binary on-off switch. You can focus, your brain sends the signal, it clicks on, you relax, it clicks back off. And
But
what's up?
No, go ahead.
Oh, but a lot of times, weirdly enough, it's used a lot of times for, like, kids' toys. Like, there's a Star Wars toy where it's like, use the Force, but in reality, it's you're just, like, straining as hard as you can, and then a fan spinning up and pushing a ball up a tube.
And so, okay, so it sounds like you think that in the near future we might not see a lot of things that will, I guess, kind of blow our mind as to what we're able to accomplish.
Well, it's weird because we've already hit a lot of things that were popular in science fiction from, like, the 60s and 70s. We have shit that exists now that was fantasy back then, and nobody cares, and that's the weirdest part to me. Like, communicator watches. We have, you know, Apple Watches. You can call somebody on your wrist, and, like, you know, the Star Trek communicator, fucking beam me up, Scotty. You're holding the phone, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's become more like, I guess you just want the most updated one, and you're not really thinking about the capabilities. It's more like, I just want the newest one.
Yeah, you're sort of in love with the fiction of what could be versus what exists. And until we create a replicator from Star Trek The Next Generation, I'm good for now.
Okay. Interesting.
You ever watch You ever watch Star Trek?
I never got into it. A part of me wishes I had, but I never did.
Like the replicator is one of the most fascinating things to me, but it's one of the most simple. And it's just for food and drink. You walk up to it, tell it what you want, and it fizzles into reality, and that's it.
Hmm.
And like the minute we invent that, I am sold. Like I can grow old happy with that thing.
Interesting. Hmm.
How about you? How do you feel about the future?
Sometimes I do think like, but I guess this is, well, sometimes I think it's kind of a shame that I'm not going to get to see some of the crazy advancements in not only technology but medicine and all these other things that we'll have in the future. I am pretty optimistic about where the world is heading in the future, and so part of me is almost like, man, what kind of things will they invent in the future that I can't even imagine right now?
Yeah.
And you almost wish you could see some of those things. I mean, because it's kind of fascinating to think about. Like, what kind of things will they invent that we can't even, like I said, imagine right now?
Well, there was so you mentioned earlier about waking up and not realizing where you are for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
I had a moment like that. I want to say last year. It was when the show Altered Carbon on Netflix had been announced.
Ooh.
Now, I haven't seen Altered Carbon, but they did a sort of viral marketing campaign where they showed up to the CEC event where they show off the newest technologies.
Uh-huh.
And they had like people in bags that you're growing to put your consciousness into. And I was half awake when I saw that, and I had a fucking panic attack because I'm like, did we just accidentally create immortality? What's happening right now? And like like that's a terrifying concept to me. Not so much the concept of immortality, but the concept of artificial immortality. Oh, I'm getting kind of old. Better jump bodies and keep moving.
So when you think about something like that, do you think that if they were able to do that at some point in the future, do you think that you would still be you? Let's say this switched over the brain, gave you a new body. Like, will that still be you? How would you know? If you wake up in this new body, how would you know that that's still you and you still feel the same way you felt in your old body?
See, it depends. In my opinion, it depends where your consciousness goes. I'm reminded of a quote by a Patrick Boivin from the Super Best Friends, if you ever watch them. But they were playing a game called Soma, which one of the main focal points is consciousness transfer. But Pat makes a point to say, I don't care what form I take as long as I continue to exist. And I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, you could put me in a jar somewhere, and as long as I'm able to perceive reality around me and continue to exist, cool. Fine.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, like, if you do exist, in this new body, like, but what if it's not you? How would you know? I mean, if you're able to perceive everything around you, but it's not the same you, because I don't know, maybe it's I don't know. You see, and now I'm going down that rabbit hole where I get to a point where I'm just like,
well, I mean,
I'm just like, okay, this is,
I mean, in a way, all right, we're gonna get even weirder right now, would you count symbolism as immortality?
Like, can you give me the definition?
So, like, say I were to create a symbol, some random drawing, but then that drawing is remembered that I made that. I made that drawing. Like the Mona Lisa. You know, Da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa, and
Yeah.
and we
Okay.
we remember that that's who made it, and we've remembered it for hundreds of years, right?
No. Then no. I would not.
You wouldn't count that as immortality?
No, because to me, things like that, I don't like. I don't care. Like, I don't care to be remembered for things I've done, things I've accomplished, because you're dead. Like, who cares who remembers you? And I mean, I want to do good things while I'm here, but
Yeah.
I'm saying, as far as what people think after I'm gone, what I've what's left over from me, whether it's a painting, a podcast, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Once you're gone, you're gone. So
That said, party people, I'm selling this interview as an NFT. You can no. No, I can't. That to me is a step too far.
yeah.
I bought a photo, and it's on this little placard, but you could just save it off of Twitter and have it forever. And like, whenever I see that on Twitter, it's like, we're selling this photo as an NFT. But then I have the thought of, like, I could just save it on my phone and then look at it whenever I want. Like, how does that,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. No. I know what you're saying.
But, how do I word it? Like, I would rather not me live forever, but the persona / ideals that I put out there as Fresman to live forever. Like,
And
what's up?
no. Continue.
Oh, I love the idea of being able to the concept of passing along the mask, the name, the show, and then, and then have whoever takes up that mantle sort of change it in the way they want.
And what? But why do you want to do that? Does it just make you feel good, like knowing I've created this thing and it will continue on even after I'm gone?
It's more so that I think it would be an interesting experiment. Honestly. like it's more of a morbid curiosity that I'd love to see what would happen.
Okay, that I can relate with. Yeah.
like it everything ages, and like, I'm not going to be able to do this forever. I'd love to.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. If I can find somebody to actually curse me and put me in a mask, that'd be sick. Let me know. Anybody out there knows how to do that. Soul transfer.
Yeah.
But just the idea of, like, ideally it would be somebody takes my place, but they are treated the same that I was treated.
Oh yeah, that'd be interesting.
Like the transition itself is seamless.
Okay, like almost like a Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I actually do have things in place for in the event of my untimely demise.
Very interesting.
Like, I have people picked out to take out the
Oh wow, okay.
I don't think they know, but, like, yeah.
But they'd be receiving a letter or something or something saying,
I'm gonna hire a creepy dude in a trench coat to show up at their house with like an ivory box with my mask inside of it.
dude, that'd be awesome.
You're gonna have to do it now.
Oh, the pressure that's going to be placed on those people.
Oh, you bet. But again, that would be an interesting experiment.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Okay. I can. Yeah. I like that. I like the way you think.
Thank you. Now, would you pass down the hair-raising narratives ideal? Because I should mention I've been imagining you as a sentient white sheet with eye holes cut in it this entire time.
Yeah, I don't have an avatar like the type of avatar I guess that most people in this community have. Yeah, I mean, I would hope, I hope that like right now, really, I'm just focusing on the improving the quality of my podcast and my YouTube channel. I think that's really my main focus, is just getting better, improving it in any way that I can. And I'm not even really, I just see it as this, like, it's just this small thing, and I don't compare it necessarily to other channels, but I know what it is. It's just like I'm putting a lot of effort into it, and if one day I'm fortunate enough and lucky enough that it becomes a fairly successful, that might change my answer. But for right now, it's something that I'm putting a lot of effort into, and if anybody wants to take it off my hands, at some point, then by all means.
You're gonna have to wear the sheet now.
That's funny. Yeah, that's funny, because you're right. Whenever you talk to somebody, like, I'm looking at your mask, and it is almost like you're talking to that avatar.
Well, like, if I'm lucky, and I mean if I'm extremely lucky, nobody will ever see my face. Ever. Yeah. Or hear my real name. If I'm lucky.
Like you said, it'll just be somebody else will take over, and people are going to be like, well, this new person talks a little differently than the last one.
When did Fresman get shorter?
He's all of a sudden become a lot more reasonable.
Why does this Fresman believe in the flat earth? What's going on?
I guess his views are really evolving.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got to change with the time, I guess.
Yeah. He's no longer stuck in his old ways. Oh, this old, circle earth nonsense.
We all know it's a Dyson sphere.
Yeah, Dyson sphere. Yeah. Get with the times, old man.
How do you do, fellow kids?
Oh, God, I love that meme.
Oh, God. And the problem is, I feel like I'm already doing that, and I'm not that old. Like, I've run into people my age, and I'm like, I don't understand you.
Yeah, that, man, same here. I was playing, video games with a couple of my nephews the other day, and I think I was playing, and I said, "Oh, sweet," and they were going, "Sweet," and they just busted out laughing. And in comparison, I was thinking, oh my God, I was listening to their terminology that they were using and listening to mine, and I was going, oh wow.
Oh boy, that's lit fam. No cap, whatever the hell that means.
I was like, when did this happen?
Well, there's a buddy of mine uses all like the newest terms, and there have been times where I've had to, like, I used to roommate with him and a couple other guys, where he would say a full sentence, and then I turned to the guy next to me, like, what the hell did he just say? What was that?
That's awesome.
We play games, bro. No cap. I'm like, what? What's no cap? What is that?
What are you saying? Are you Are you learning another language?
I I like to stick to the sort of 90s and early 2000s method,
Yeah.
like the vocabulary. So I use sick a lot. Hey, I got an A on my report card today. Sick. Awesome.
Yeah, no, I think that's where my vocabulary has pretty much kind of stayed stayed also. I don't think I've picked up, the new terminology that's come up. I just kind of stick with I like using my, it's like I'm attached to them, the words that I use.
Mm. Well, that and like, even if some of them are outdated, a lot of people still understand what I'm saying,
Yeah.
and it, and like, just like sick, and I once in a while will use rad or radical,
Hmm.
not like radical, and I certainly do not use tubular.
Okay. Okay, because if you were gonna say tubular, I was gonna say, okay, that's a little too far.
No,
That's a little too much.
I have standards. I can't.
Okay. All right.
Tubular, bro.
Had me worried for a second. Okay.
I but no, I stick with sick.
Sick. Okay. I think I stick with cool. Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
I do love ironically using the phrase hip hop, but in the most like stilted I can. Hello, fellas. I love the hip hop.
Do you find that a lot of people get your sense of humor or
Sometimes there are some people that I've run into where I'll try to make a joke and there's just nothing.
oh god, that's the best.
It's like I'm looking at a dial tone, just
Yeah, because I like using dry. I do use dry humor a lot in just in regular circumstances, and yeah, a lot of people just don't pick up on it, and maybe it's partly my fault because I'm not that good at, I guess, communicating it. But I also, part of me, I have to say, likes the fact that they're like, huh, and I just find it funny sometimes. But
well, when I was younger, I used to mess with people a lot more than I do nowadays. Like, I used to try to mess with somebody, and I think it's not that I've gained more shame, but it's more likely that somebody's going to start yelling at me nowadays. And
yeah.
And it's not even like, people are so easily offended. It's not that. It's just like conversation dynamic has changed. Like
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I used to one of the things I used to do for a giggle was I'd go to the mall and I'd walk into the Victoria's Secret store. And I'd walk in there alone and I'd act like I'm just annoyed with something. Just kind of looking around, hands in my pockets, like looking for something I clearly can't find. And I'd wait for somebody to walk up and, hello, sir, can I help you find something? I'm like, nothing fits. Because I'm a large 6'2" broad-shouldered man. Nothing fits, and then I just like walk out of there.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. That's my kind of sense of humor. I like that.
And I've been wanting to do that nowadays. I was in the mall the other day, and I'm like, I could just walk in there.
You have that itch.
Yeah, like I have to do this.
Part of you's like, do it.
I'm not sure if I've told it on Demasked. Have you listened to any of the previous episodes?
A couple, yeah. I think I listened to one with Lady Spookaria. Was the latest one that I listened to. Yeah.
But I can't remember. Oh, for the life of me, I can't remember which episode I told it in. But it was back when like Shrek 3 was coming out. And I was like in my early teens when that happened. And me and my cousin walked into a McDonald's that had a sign out front that said Shrek is here. And I walk in and my cousin behind me loudly goes, "Where's Shrek?" And I walk up to the counter and I go, "Hey man, Shrek here, I got to talk to him." And I'm keeping a stone face the entire time, just like, "Hey man, is he here? I need to talk to him."
You definitely got delivery is oftentimes key. But also a lot of people, they're just like, yeah, they're not having it.
Oh man, I make jokes sometimes in the worst places, and apparently that runs in the family. It's not just me, but I decided to joke around while I was at the doctor. And the lady behind the counter taking my information was not having any of it. Like, just didn't react to my joke in the slightest, and it so you know how they get your base information, how are you feeling, how long have you felt like this, that, and the other thing.
Right.
And they're like, "Okay, so when you wake up in the morning, how do you feel?" And I said, "Angry and vengeful." and and I'm giggling, and she's not. She's just stone faced.
Oh,
And I'm like,
come
I'm like,
come on, lady.
I'm like, I wake up feeling okay and slightly tired. That's
people need to have more of a sense of humor.
Yeah.
I was when I was younger, I was at church with two of my friends, and I think we were, I don't know how old we were, maybe 14, and we were just kind of goofing around, and we were talking about, because I think this was a Catholic church, and I think at the time, I was a Protestant, and we were talking about the differences between the religions, and I think I told, or one of my friends told the other one, well, I think we were talking about how the preacher or priest can't forgive certain sins, and my friend has like raises up his fist. He's like, "Oh yes, he can," and the person just in front of us is like, "Do y'all have any respect?" And shh, and granted, maybe that wasn't the most appropriate time to be joking around, but yeah, sometimes people just need to, I think just some people are a little too serious, and that's just my sense of humor. And I don't know if you've gotten this from our talk, but I tend to laugh at. It's very hard for me to. That's just my default personality. It's just I kind of just laugh at most things, and unfortunately that happens even with
something
even
horrible
in a situation. Yes.
Yeah.
And I have to warn people sometimes. That's just my default. Like, I don't know if it's because I'm just a little nervous, but I may laugh, and I'm sorry. I have to apologize ahead of time.
So, Heresy Narratives, I'm so glad I'm talking to you, because I have a story to tell you, and I think you're going to like. Because it's terrible. Okay. I haven't told the story on Demasked yet, and I'm excited to get it out there.
Very nice.
So, the national holiday, or arguably all around the world, on April 20th is Weed Day, right? 420, bro. Right. So, me, my friend, and her kids are all driving around Portland, near where I live. and we're driving around just looking for stuff to do. We're thinking of going to the waterfront and all this fun stuff. And we decide, hey, let's drive up past an area called OHSU, which is sort of the Oregon like Science Academy sort of deal. It's a hospital and all this. And we're driving through these beautiful, beautiful hills and all this. And we go, hey, look, there's a park right over there. And the kids can go run around the park. As we're pulling into park, we noticed a sign. And it says, Oregon Holocaust Memorial. So, Oregon Holocaust Memorial. And we pull in, we park. I get out, and I look down, and I realize that I'm wearing a t-shirt with Thanos on it.
Okay.
Do you happen to know who Thanos is?
Yes, I do.
For those of you at home, Thanos wiped out half the universe.
Yes.
And I'm standing in a Holocaust memorial. So.
You know. Did you get any?
Surprisingly, nobody brought it up. So.
Okay, I was going to say, did you get any stares?
So we decide, hey, there's some shops down the hill from this memorial. So we walk all the way down the hill, and we go and get ice cream at a Ben & Jerry's. And we're with, two kids, and, kids are prone to not eating all of their food, right?
Right.
And so they get 2 giant ice cream cones, and I get a bowl of ice cream, and we walk back up to the memorial. And so we're walking around this beautiful park, and I'm eating ice cream in a Holocaust memorial with a Thanos shirt on. And we happen upon this beautiful wall with like statues and sculptures of items left behind by those who were taken, and this wall of names. It's breathtaking. And I feel like such an asshole because I'm standing there eating ice cream. And neither of the kids want their ice cream, so now I'm eating their ice cream and my ice cream. I'm double-handing ice cream. And so, and I'm painfully aware of like how bad this looks from the outside because from the out, like everybody else, they're like taking notes and taking pictures. There are whole families here. And I'm like, we should go. And so I find out the next day I'm in the car with my mom. We're going thrift shopping, and I see something that was like, it was some vague headline, but come to find out, little known fact, April 20th is Adolf Hitler's birthday.
Oh, wow.
So I'm at a Holocaust memorial eating ice cream, wearing a shirt with Thanos on it on Hitler's birthday.
Isn't it great just how circumstances sometimes, can put you in a situation like that?
And like none of that was planned.
Right. It just sort of happened. You're like, oh, wait a minute. This isn't what I was. This isn't what it looks like, people.
Oh, this is a nice park. Oh no. All right, what shirt am I wearing? Oh no. Let's go get ice cream. Oh no. Wait, what day is it? Oh.
People walking by going. People are like, look at this jerk.
What a piece of shit.
Hey, pal. How about having some respect, huh?
And the whole time I'm holding. So we start heading back to the car, and I have like the empty bowl in my hand. I'm like, I gotta get rid of this thing. We gotta get the hell out of here. But I've yet to tell that story on a public forum, but I'm terribly happy that I have. But I think with that horrifying story, we will call this interview to a close. Hair Raising Narrative, thank you so much for coming on. I've had a blast talking to you.
This was awesome. I really enjoy this. This format is pretty great. It's a lot of fun.
I mean, Jesus, we covered a lot of topics: superstition, fears of the future, leaving a legacy, all this.
Jesus.
We've literally gone to the metaphysical and back, and then ended with a horrifying story. But
yeah, I guess we have.
But you know what? I would not have it any other way. Again, it has been a wonder talking to you, and I very much appreciate you coming on. Wonderful party people at home, please consider checking out Hair Raising Narratives channel. There will be a link in the description below. Is there a video that you are particularly proud of that you would want people to see?
I enjoy Knock Knock. I really enjoy the. I'm very proud of that story that I wrote for that episode. But I also really enjoy sleep paralysis, which was one of I think the last video that I put out. So those are some good ones that people can check out.
Nice. Well, links to that will be in the description below. There'll also be an end card for you wonderful party people at home to see. Again, thank you so much, Hair Raising Narratives. This has been a blast, and I have one last question for you before we get out of here.
Yes.
If asked, would you be open to being a return guest on Demasked?
Yeah, of course, man. This was awesome.
I
appreciate
know.
it. Thank you so much for. Yeah, let me think about it. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and with that, this has been Demasked. Remember, party people, the Earth is flat, and I will see you next time.
All right, see ya.